Welcome to the video on intraday trading with VWAP Indicator. In this series, we will be learning about intraday trading strategies and short-term trading in detail. I will be covering VWAP Indicator in depth and I'll be showing you how you can use VWAP Indicator in your own trading strategy. I will also explain a trade I took yesterday based on the concepts discussed here so that you can implement the same in your own trading. Again, this intraday strategy is extremely simple and this is something you can learn today and start practicing it from Monday. So let's get started. Now, VWAP indicator, also known as volume weighted average price, is the average price a stock has traded at throughout the trading session. This is computed based on both price and volume. Now, if you are an intraday trader, then you should look into VWAP indicator as this is very valuable. When price is above the VWAP indicator, this indicates stock is in demand for the day. On the flip side, when price is below the VWAP indicator, this indicates stock is underpriced for the day. Traders in general prefer buying the stock when it is above its VWAP and they prefer short selling the stock when it is below the VWAP level. There are also traders who prefer to buy the stock when it is below the VWAP level as this indicates stock being underpriced. Now, as an intraday trader, you can apply VWAP indicator on a 1 minute time frame chart, 5 minute time frame chart, 15 minute time frame chart, or any time frame of your choice. You have to remember that unlike moving averages, level of VWAP does not change based on time frame. This is simply because of how VWAP is calculated. Let us take a look into this. VWAP indicator is used by institutions and mutual funds to get a fair price when they enter and exit in a stock. This is the main reason why VWAP works very well in stock market. Also remember that VWAP indicator level for everyone remains the same and does not change like moving average. There are many various combinations that one can use when it comes to moving averages, and any trader that uses moving averages would be seeing a different level based on the time frame they select and the parameter of moving average they select. With VWAP indicator, this problem is not evident as all traders using VWAP across all time frames would see just one single value. As an intraday trader, think of VWAP as a neutral region. You will observe quite often that momentum-oriented price moves begin from this precise region. Let us now understand how VWAP is calculated. Under VWAP, price is multiplied by corresponding volume. We then add this column and divide it by total volume for the day. In this particular example, when you add this column, you get a value of 38,000. You then divide this value by total volume for the day, that is 200. And therefore the VWAP level that you get is 190. If you look at the moving average calculation, we simply take the sum of price in this column and divide by total number of interval, that is 6 in this case. So 1050, that is sum of all price here, divided by 6 is 175. VWAP therefore is relatively less lagging than moving average and it is also widely followed by most traders. This is one more reason why this works so well in markets. One of the most important applications of VWAP indicator is to use it to identify support and resistance in intraday trading. As you use VWAP indicator more often, you will identify periods where price struggles to move above or below the VWAP region and then moves with momentum. The more price struggles at VWAP level, the more momentum-oriented breakout you would see in days to come. As an intraday trader, always keep track of price action in and around VWAP level. In this chart, price struggles around the VWAP level from this entire region. Each time that price tries to move higher, it faces stiff resistance in the form of negative price action and small range candles. Ease of movement, if you see, was clearly on the downside. And once you get this wide range candle here, price moves lower with momentum. Look at the range of candle at this region. As price moved lower, range clearly expanded. This is a sign of strong participation on the downside. On an intraday basis, this happens quite often and it's important for you to not have too many indicators overlapping the VWAP indicator. Always focus on simplicity and don't overcomplicate your charts. Let me now show you one more example of support and resistance. In this chart, price gaps up and then remains around the VWAP level. Price attempts to move higher and then again retests this VWAP region with a long tail candle. During this entire period, price mostly stays above the VWAP and then moves higher towards the end of the day. Now there are a couple of important points to note here. Number one, the first time price takes support at VWAP, it attempts to move high immediately. Second time again when price took support, it started moving up on an immediate basis. While price was above VWAP, look at the candles on the downside. There is no attempt here from sellers to drive price lower. Eventually, as price starts heading higher, look at the range expansion that has happened. Range clearly expands as price moves away with momentum. I hope you can see how VWAP indicator is helpful in analyzing price action within the context of current trend. Do keep in mind that all charts are not this clean and it's much easier to see this in hindsight. In real time though, spotting this would require a lot of practice. One of the other main applications of VWAP indicator is to assess risk reward in intraday trading based on where price and VWAP is. For example, in this chart in front of you, price spent considerable amount of time in and around VWAP before heading higher. In between, price took support multiple times around VWAP level. Most of the candles around the VWAP indicator were either having long tails or were forming bullish patterns. Once price started rising above VWAP with momentum, trader can use the same to determine risk reward at various stages. Now as a trader, I would be much more inclined to buy at this level rather than here where risk reward is completely against you. With VWAP as a reference, you get to know if you are overpaying or underpaying for your trade. Now from a trader's point of view, this is very valuable information as it prevents one from chasing a stock. Let me discuss one more example. In this example, price repeatedly finds it difficult to move higher above the VWAP level. As a trader, you can clearly spot long shadows in most of these candles, which clearly represent selling at higher levels. At this stage, you get this wide range candle that moves decisively below the VWAP indicator. And then if you see, price moves lower with momentum. In terms of risk and reward, you would be much better off short selling at this stage than at any of these candles here. Now without the reference of VWAP indicator, it would be much difficult to ascertain how much you are overpaying for this short sell trade. Always remember that apart from support and resistance, risk reward is one more application of VWAP indicator that is of tremendous importance. Quite often, this is neglected in intraday trading. Let us now come to the section of how not to use VWAP indicator. Most beginners who start using VWAP look into buying a stock when it moves above the VWAP and they look into shorting the stock when it moves below the VWAP. This approach is not right and will lead to unnecessary drawdowns. This should be avoided at all costs. You have to understand that most charts that you see will be something very similar to what I've shown here. This means price won't move much and most of the times price will whipsaw in and around the VWAP level. To counter this, you will need to check for overall market context and only then use VWAP indicator to buy or short into stocks. If you want to trade VWAP indicators successfully, you will need to focus on price action around VWAP at all times. The first place to begin with is by looking at position of price with respect to VWAP. That is, if price is above or below VWAP indicator. The second thing you have to spot is candles with long tails and shadows along with key bullish and bearish patterns. This is something we discussed in previous intraday trading videos. And then finally, you have to spot subtle signs of demand and supply. Let me explain this with the chart in front of you. So price here moves below the VWAP indicator in this region. Prior to this, look at the long shadows of candles in this region. Each time price tried to move higher, it was met with stiff resistance. Once price moved below VWAP indicator, most candles on the upside were narrow range candles, whereas down candles were relatively wider in range. In this region, we then get two bearish engulfing pattern, which then drives price lower with momentum. Now do remember that without underlying context, price structure and trend bias, trading with VWAP indicator will always seem complex. If you really want to succeed in intraday trading with VWAP indicator, then you have to begin thinking in terms of overall structure of the market. This is a very important point that is often missed by most beginners. Let us now come to the application of VWAP indicator and volume profile. Before we get started, let me take up 30 seconds to explain what volume profile is. If you don't know how to get volume profile charts, just leave me a comment below and I will let you know some resources for the same. Now traditionally, volume has been plotted on horizontal axis to study impact of volume on market. However, you can also plot volume on a vertical y-axis, and this is what volume profile is all about. It is just a histogram of stocks bought and sold at specific price level as opposed to specific times that you see on the horizontal axis. This region that you see in front of you is how a high volume node looks like. High volume node represents areas on the profile where heavy trading took place between buyers and sellers. This marks a consolidation phase in the market, and from intraday trading perspective, this area helps you define area of strong support or resistance in the market. It also forms the basis of entry and exit, as we will see in the later slides. Low volume node marked here is where little trading activity took place between buyers and sellers. And generally this will be a price level that gets quickly rejected by traders. Trading activity around low volume node region is fast and aggressive, and price usually tests this level and then passes through or gets rejected from it. High volume node and low volume node represent break-even points for long time frame traders, and this is the main reason why these levels work so well in the market. On a chart, always take note of high volume node and low volume node regions. By knowing this, you would know whether the market is consolidating or gearing up for an intraday move in days to come. Let us now take up 5 cases to understand how VWAP and volume profile come together. I have marked out high volume node region followed by low volume node region here. Along with this, I have VWAP indicator plotted on the chart. In this chart, long shadow candles in this region represents inability of price to move higher. It also reflects that whenever price attempts to move above this high volume node region, sellers eventually drive prices lower. After repeated attempts to move higher, price then moves below VWAP and sustains below it. Take a look at all the down candles below the VWAP. All these candles are relatively wider than up candles. We then get expansion in range of candles in this region, followed by no meaningful retracement on the upside. Do note that with this candle, price also moves below the high volume node region here. Once this happens, candle range then expands as price moves lower with momentum. Now do note that you don't need to use this precise setup in intraday trading, but you can use this setup and include it in your existing trading strategy. This is one of the easiest ways to begin using VWAP indicator on an immediate basis. If you instead want to use this setup on a standalone basis, then let me tell you it will be worthwhile. This setup is very simple and it works really well on intraday basis. Let us now move to case 2. In this chart, high volume node is marked around at this region. Price here moves in and around VWAP indicator for quite some time. During the same time, range of candles is narrow and most of the bullish candles form near the VWAP level. Every time price attempts to cross the high volume node region, sellers drive the price lower. It is only in this region that we get wide range candles that leads price above the high volume node region. Now once this happens, price rises with momentum and VWAP starts moving higher. As price heads higher, look at the range of candles in this region. Most candles, if you see, expand in the direction of trend. Let us take up third case now. This is a complicated case and hence do pay attention. In the chart, I have marked out high volume node in this region. On the first day, price finds it difficult to move above the high volume node region. This is represented here with long shadow candles and bearish engulfing and dark cloud cover pattern. As price fails to move higher, price then moves below the high volume node region at this point. Price then moves lower only to bounce back and close flat for the day. This trade was one where you would have faced a drawdown. In the next session, price opens above the high volume node on back of a wide range candle. Post this, price continues to move higher. The key lesson here is that VWAP and volume profile does not work at all times. There will be times when you will be whipsawed time and again before you catch the right trade. What I'm showing you here is not a system to take trades. It is more of a framework on how to combine price action, VWAP indicator, and volume profile together to focus on high probability setups. If you fail to trade this successfully, don't get disheartened. Keep practicing this and keep taking notes. Always remember that there is nothing in this world that you cannot achieve with patience and practice. In this fourth case, markings for high volume node is done in this region. Price here continuously takes support at the VWAP level. As price approaches VWAP region, size of the candles is not that wide, which suggests lack of momentum on the downside. At this stage, we get one wide range candle which moves above the high volume node region with strong momentum. Post this, price moves higher with more wide range candles which clearly represents strong momentum on the upside. Now, as an intraday trader, do not forget to focus on wide range candles. Such candles usually set the tone for trend in the short term and hence tracking these is quite helpful. Apart from wide range candles, also make sure you track volume profile on a consistent basis. This is again one of those tools that really helps in intraday trading. In this fifth case, high volume node marking is done at this region. In this chart, price finds it really difficult to move higher as session progresses. Each time price tries to move higher, sellers drive price lower. This clearly represents supply at higher levels. Later in the day, you then get one wide range candle that moves below the high volume node region. Price then heads lower without any sign of demand at lower level. Now look at the range of this breakdown candle. It is clearly the widest among all the candles that we have had in this day. Now this clearly reflects momentum on the downside. Now if you see, this simple intraday setup comprises of three main things: candlestick charts, VWAP indicator, and volume profile indicator. Apart from these, you don't have to include anything else. VWAP indicator and volume profile are both available at tradingview.com. The only disadvantage being that TradingView does not have futures segment. You can explore option of NinjaTrader, which is free to use, and with NinjaTrader, you will require a data source which is typically not that expensive. If you want some reference on data sources, then let me know in the comment section below. Let me now come to a trade I did yesterday. Now this is something I'm trying to do more often, wherein I'm taking trade based on the method I'm explaining 1 to 2 days prior to releasing the video. By doing this, I'm just trying to motivate you guys to show you that this can be done on real-time basis as well. So in this example, I entered Bank Nifty 31,000 call option at 325 and then exited it few hours later at 432. So let me explain this in detail. When the market opened at this region, high volume node was present in this zone. With this wide range candle, price moved above this high volume node, and this is when I entered the trade. VWAP indicator had been moving up as well, and wide range candle decisively moved above it. This was the main trigger to take the entry. When it came to exiting the trade, I did so in this particular region. I certainly did not anticipate the kind of fall which came in at this stage, and the main reason for exiting the trade was series of long shadow candles here and the range of candles when price was moving higher. This actually suggested to me that momentum was not strong on the upside, and with expiry a few hours later, it would have been much better to book out profits. So while entry was based on the method I've shown you, exit was actually based on the overall context of market. And this is what I've explained to you in this video. As you will gain more experience, you will start looking at things from a different perspective, and you'll always try and enter and exit trade taking into consideration the overall trend bias and market context. So what I've shown here is simple application of combining price, VWAP indicator and volume profile together. This combination works exceptionally well in intraday trading, and you should look into this. If there is any doubt about VWAP, volume profile or price action, then let me know in the comment section below. I read and reply to every comment, and hence do ask any doubt you have, no matter how basic it is. So kindly consider hitting the like button and sharing this video if you find it useful. Thanks a lot for watching this video, guys. Take care and be safe.